Before him stretched an immense chamber, nearly 2 km in length. Its pristine, white walls housed the galaxy's most advanced defense mechanisms, developed under the watchful eye of the Galactic Council. Krillvax stood at the main viewport, his secondary arms waving animatedly as he continued his log entry. Our containment system is the pinnacle of combined defensive technology from 15 different species. We've integrated laser grids that can slice through battleship armor, gravity wells capable of immobilizing a small moon, sonic disruptors that liquefy solid rock, and atmospheric controllers that can shift from absolute zero to a plasma state in just 0.3 seconds. He chuckled a sound like crystalline chimes. The fools on the council doubted us. They claimed a unified defense system for biological threats was impossible. Yet here it stands, the most advanced killing field ever conceived. Walking to his spotless white desk, Krillvax activated a holographic display. Dozens of diagnostic readings lit the air, all showing optimal performance. Security feeds revealed every angle of his masterpiece: gleaming metal, humming force fields, and enough firepower to obliterate a small continent. We've tested it against every known predator species in the galaxy. The Ravagers of Sector 7 didn't pass the first chamber. Those unstoppable berserkers were neutralized instantly. Even the legendary crystal beings of Nixus 4 couldn't breach our defenses. His tone grew smug. The true brilliance lies in its adaptability. The system learns from each attack, becoming stronger with every attempt. It's not just a barrier, it's an evolving, thinking mechanism. Krillvax rested his hand against the viewing glass, watching the security lights dance across the chamber. Tomorrow, we'll demonstrate this marvel for the Galactic Defense Council. Soon, every major facility in the galaxy will want our system. No unauthorized life form will ever breach a facility protected by this. The intercom crackled to life. Chief Scientist, we have an unusual situation. A ship has entered the system and is requesting to attempt the containment course. They claim to be human. Krillvax's antennae twitched in amusement. Humans? Never heard of them. Let them try. It'll be good to add another species to our list of failures. The system's perfect record remains unbroken. Oh, how wrong he was. The control room buzzed with activity. 3 of the galaxy's brightest minds gathered around the central monitor. Dr. Knox, a translucent blue, gas-like membrane, floated gently as she reviewed diagnostics. Her species' innate ability to process complex data made her the ideal choice for monitoring the containment system's millions of sensors. All calibrations are perfect, as usual, she announced, her voice modulator chiming with each word. All 427 defensive layers are operating at peak efficiency. Still, I'm curious about these humans. Their ship's design is unusual. Professor Zarin, a crystalline being, stretched upward, refracting light patterns of skepticism. As the weapon specialist, she had designed the system's lethal components. Unusual? My scans show their vessel barely holds together. It's made from materials we stopped using centuries ago. That's what makes it fascinating, hummed Dr. Knox. Their ship should have disintegrated during FTL travel, yet here they are. Security Chief Blitz, a massive arthropoid with black armor, clicked his mandibles in irritation. Let's not forget our track record. The Thorn Beasts of Sigma 9? Dispatched in under 10 seconds. Regenerative, acid-blooded creatures didn't even stand a chance. Professor Zarin sparkled with amusement. Or those so-called space pirates who bragged about breaching ancient Krell vaults. They didn't make it past the entrance. My favorite, added Dr. Knox, was the swarm of phase-shifting locusts, minus 10 million of them. One touch of our gravity wells and poof, bug juice. The 3 shared a moment of professional pride, their creation the perfect fusion of their expertise, Knox's precision sensors, Zarin's devastating weapons, and Blitz's impenetrable security protocols. Blitz brought up a holographic scoreboard. 2,947 breaches stopped. Everything from microscopic infiltrators to capital-class assault platforms. These humans will just be number 2948. Professor Zarain refracted thoughtfully. Still, their politeness is curious. Most species try to sneak in or blast their way through. These humans scheduled an appointment, and signed waivers, added Dr. Knox. Her membrane rippled with curiosity. They even asked if we wanted refreshments for the observation team. Strange behavior. Peculiar or not, Blitz chittered. The outcome will be the same. The system adapts to any threat. No biological entity can survive our defenses. An alert tone filled the control room. Chief Scientist Krillvax's voice followed. They're ready. Positions, everyone. Let's show these humans why our containment system is the pride of the Galactic Council. None of them noticed a small notation in the human application. Planet of origin Earth. Classification Death World. The docking process was uneventful in oversight. The human ship, a battered vessel called Dave's Weekend Cruiser, docked with a solid clunk. Are they serious? Professor Zarin sparkled incredulously. Their airlock is sealed with duct tape. Dr. Knox's membrane pulsed as she scanned. The incoming scan data, this can't be accurate. Dr. Knox's voice chimed with confusion. The atmospheric readings from their ship show they're breathing nitrogen and oxygen with traces of carbon dioxide. That mix is nearly toxic, and their gravity settings, she hesitated, are holding at 9.8 ms2. That would crush most species. Security Chief Blitz's mandibles twitched nervously. Are we certain this isn't some kind of error? Through the observation window, the scientists watched as the airlock cycled open. A lone figure emerged, strolling casually, as if on a leisure walk. The human wore what they later identified as casual attire: blue jeans and a simple t-shirt emblazoned with the phrase "one with stupid" alongside an arrow pointing upward. Where's their environmental suit? Krillvax demanded, all four of his eyes widening. The station's atmosphere should be toxic to most carbon-based life forms. Dr. Knox chimed in hesitantly. According to their paperwork, they marked themselves as comfortable in a standard atmosphere. I assumed it was a translation error. The human stepped into the reception area, smiling warmly and waving. The universal translator activated as he spoke. Hi there. I'm Dave. Heard you folks had an obstacle course or something. Thought I'd give it a go while I'm in the sector. Got a coffee bean delivery to Proxima Centauri next week, so I've got some time to kill. The scientist stood in stunned silence. Finally, Krillvax found his voice. You're a cargo hauler. Yup, Dave grinned, rocking back and forth on his heels. Saw your ad online. Ultimate Containment System seeks test subjects. Survivors will receive substantial compensation. Figured it'd be fun during my layover. Plus, I could use the credits for a paint job on the old girl. He gestured to his ship. Professor Zarain refracted with disbelief. Our containment system has stopped military assault teams. And you're unarmed. Oh, should I have brought something? Dave frowned. The form just said to wear comfy clothes and sign the waiver. Security Chief Blitz pulled the others into a frantic huddle. We can't let this proceed. The liability alone. Our sensors must be faulty, Dr. Knox insisted. No species could naturally survive these conditions without advanced technology. I can hear you, Dave called out, waving cheerfully. No special tech here, just a regular human. Well, maybe slightly below average. Skipped leg day this week. Krillvax, his curiosity piqued, turned back to the human. You do realize this course is designed to be lethal? There are warnings in 47 languages. Make that 48, Dave corrected. I added a human translation to your form. By the way, there's a typo in section 7 billion. Unless you really meant to say your gravity wells would crush my banana instead of my body. The scientists exchanged wary glances. Protocol dictated they couldn't deny a valid application. Yet, allowing this cheerful human to proceed seemed deeply unethical. Last chance to reconsider, Krillvax offered. Even battle-hardened warriors have turned back at this point. Dave stretched casually, his joints cracking audibly, eliciting winces from the observers. Nah, I'm good. But hey, anyone want a snack first? I brought these orange things called Doritos. Pretty sure orange is a universal cheese color. As Dave munched loudly on the chips, the scientists realized they were about to witness either a catastrophic tragedy or an unprecedented event in galactic history. It would turn out to be both. The armor crisscrossing the chamber lit up. Ooh, pretty, Dave said, ducking and weaving as beams fired. Occasionally, he stopped to admire the intricate patterns. Reminds me of that rave on Jupiter's moon last year, he mused, though the music was definitely better there. No offense to your death lasers. Security Chief Blitz was frantically running diagnostics. He's not dodging them all, he growled. We've logged several direct hits, yet his clothing, he paused in disbelief, isn't even singed. Oh, this old shirt, Dave paused to look down at himself. Yeah, cotton is surprisingly sturdy. Plus, I got this one on sale. When the chamber's sonic disruptors activated frequencies designed to liquefy solid rock, Dave stuck a finger in his ear and wiggled it. A bit loud in here, he said, raising his voice. Mind turning it down a notch? My tinnitus flares up with high frequencies. By the time he reached Chamber 5, the scientific team was in chaos. Krillvax had clawed off half his protective coating in stress. Dr. Knox's membrane had turned an unsettling shade of green, and Professor Zorin's crystalline form was riddled with visible fractures. Deploying nanite swarm, Blitz announced, his voice shaking. Maximum aggression protocols. Billions of microscopic robots swarmed toward Dave, programmed to disassemble any organic matter they encountered. Dave sneezed. Sorry, he sniffled, waving at the cloud of nanites now scattering harmlessly. Allergies. Gets me every spring and, apparently, whatever season this is. Monitoring equipment was registering impossible readings. Sensors maxed out or simply displayed error messages. One particularly overworked device settled on a single word. No. Just. No. Chamber 6 Professor Zoran whispered, her voice cracking, reality phase disruption. Around Dave, the fabric of space and time twisted, warping in unnatural patterns. He paused, looking genuinely impressed. Now, this is cool, he said, admiring the kaleidoscopic distortions. Kinda reminds me of that time I accidentally drank a quantum physicist's coffee at the space-time symposium pulling out his phone. He added, mind if I take a selfie? My mom would love this. The field, designed to rip apart atoms on a quantum level, served as the perfect backdrop for Dave's photo, complete with a filter. As Dave approached the final chamber, the scientific team could only watch in stunned horror. Their containment system, the pride of galactic defense, had been reduced to nothing more than an amusing stroll for this death worlder. And Dave? He was just hoping there'd be more Doritos in the break room. What do you mean the quantum field is failing? Krillvax's voice cracked as he stared at the monitors. That's not even physically possible. Dave had entered Chamber 7, whistling what he referred to as another one bites the dust, while the galaxy's most advanced defense systems spiraled into collective failure. The emergency containment measures, Dr. Knox's membrane quivered. Activate the antimatter pulse generators. Brilliant flashes of light erupted as matter and antimatter collided violently. Dave paused, watching the spectacle with curiosity. Wow, he exclaimed. This is just like my sister's wedding. She hired a DJ who did amazing light effects. Though the bass was better at her event. Professor Zorin's crystalline structure trembled with stress fractures. The antimatter isn't. He's not. How is he still solid? Dave stopped walking, patting his pockets. Anyone here sizzling? I think I left a candy bar in here somewhere. He fished out a partially melted chocolate bar. Ah, found it. Still good. He took a bite and offered, want some? Security Chief Blitz's mandibles clattered furiously. Activating time dilation field, he barked. Let's see him handle localized temporal acceleration. The air shimmered around Dave as time warped and twisted. Everything seemed to work for a moment. Is this supposed to make me feel jet-lagged? Dave yawned, stretching his arms. Because I've had worse after that red eye from Alpha Centauri. Their coffee is terrible, by the way. Alarms blared across the control room, flashing warnings in 17 frequencies. One monitor displayed a tiny flag. The primary containment grid is collapsing. Dr. Knox's voice modulator stuttered. The system is trying to adapt to his biology, but nothing makes sense. His cellular structure should have failed 12 different ways by now. Dave knelt to tie his shoelace, oblivious to the chaos around him. You guys have a great setup here, he remarked casually. Really gets the blood pumping. Though you might want to check the ventilation, it's a bit stuffy. Stuffy, Krillvax screamed. We removed all the air from that section. Huh, Dave said, standing up. That explains why my ears popped. Thought it was just the altitude. In desperation, Professor Zarin activated the backup systems, releasing their experimental phase shift predators, beings that existed across 12 dimensions. Nothing had ever survived contact with them. The air shimmered as the creatures materialized, their impossible shapes warping reality itself. Dave squinted at them. "Aw, they're kinda cute," he said. "Remind me of my aunt's cat's same habit of existing in multiple dimensions, especially around dinner time." The predators took one look at Dave, emitted what could only be described as panicked sounds across 12 dimensions, and promptly vanished. Full system reset. Blitz slammed his appendages on the emergency controls. Purge all protocols. Start from scratch. The chamber filled with chaotic energy as every defense activated simultaneously. Gravity wells collapsed, temporal fields spiraled, and reality itself seemed to fold in on itself. Dave took a video on his phone. "This is amazing," he said, grinning. "Way better than that black hole tour last summer. Their gift shop was overpriced anyway." The main computer, overwhelmed, began displaying increasingly desperate messages. Error. Subject violates laws of physics. Warning, reality compliance failure. Help. I quit. The backup computer displayed "I'm with stupid" with an arrow pointing at the main system, then shut itself down. Dr. Knox's membrane had gone transparent from shock. "He's almost at the end," she whispered. "Nothing stopping him. Everything we've tried has either failed or made him talk about vacation photos." Maybe Krillvax croaked, his voice hoarse. "Maybe we should just ask him to stop." "Hey," Dave called cheerfully, now just meters from the finish line. "Quick question, is that swirly thing behind me supposed to eat the other swirly things? 'Cause I'm no scientist, but that looks like some kind of cascading dimensional failure." Behind him, their billion-credit system was indeed collapsing, twisting space and time into horrifying shapes. "Oh," Dave added, "and your quantum uncertainty field? Pretty sure it's about to, explode." The scientists could only watch in horrified silence as their once perfect system unraveled completely. The pride of the Galactic Council now resembled a piece of abstract art crafted from shattered physics and unmet expectations. And yet Dave just kept walking, pausing occasionally to snap pictures for what he called his space Instagram. Security Chief Blitz watched his security feeds, all 18 of his eyes twitching uncontrollably. The containment field is containing itself. That's not even possible. How is that possible? The control room had descended into chaos, somewhere between a scientific emergency and an existential meltdown. Dr. Knox had turned herself inside out, the equivalent of stress eating an entire cake for her species. Professor Zarin was softly humming the universal frequency for goodbye, cruel world, while producing stress diamonds. At the final checkpoint, Dave turned and waved at the observation window. "Hey, is this the end?" "Great course, by the way, though. You might want to check that space-time rupture back there. Pretty sure Tuesday is leaking into next week." Krillvax slumped over his console, his 4 eyes staring blankly into the void. 3 centuries of research. Defensive technology from 15 species. 47 different types of lethal force. And he treated it like a tourist attraction. Speaking of which, Dave's voice crackled over the intercom. Do you have a gift shop? My niece collects magnets from places that try to kill me. It's kind of her thing. The emergency council meeting that followed was bedlam. Holograms of the galaxy's top scientists flickered as they shouted over one another. But the gravity alone should have crushed him. The phase shift predators ran. They physically cannot run. Did he seriously ask about a gift shop? And why was he whistling? Meanwhile, in the control room, the defensive systems were having what could only be described as a collective mechanical breakdown. The main computer had started composing poetry about the futility of existence. The backup computer filed for early retirement. 3 reality anchors had submitted official complaints. Look on the bright side, Dave chimed in over the intercom. At least you've got great data now. Though you might want to update those warning signs, certain death seems a bit misleading. Professor Zorane's crystalline form shattered and reassembled for the 5th time in 10 minutes. The quantum uncertainty reading, she whispered. They're all coming back as. Maybe. An announcement crackled over the general channel. Update from engineering: the space-time distortion is spreading. Tuesday has officially been canceled, and next week is postponed indefinitely. Several laws of physics have also filed formal grievances. Dr. Knox turned herself right side out again. Did anyone check what planet he's from? Krillvax pulled up the application form with robotic precision. His voice trembled as he read. Planet of origin. Earth. Classification: Death World. The control room went silent. Even the alarm seemed to pause out of respect. Oh yeah, Dave called out cheerfully. I probably should have mentioned that. We evolved on a planet that's basically trying to kill us 24/7. This course kind of reminded me of my morning commute. Except your lighting's better. Security Chief Blitz's exoskeleton developed a visible twitch. AA? A Death Worlder? We let a Death Worlder test our containment system. A system designed by species from safe, stable environments. To be fair, Dave added, your waiver was very thorough. Though you might want to add a checkbox for evolved in conditions that defy logic, just a thought. The scientific team watched helplessly as their most advanced creation collapsed completely, leaving reality hiccuping in its wake. Meanwhile, Dave stood at the finish line, taking selfies with the dimensional anomalies. So he asked brightly, about those completion credits, do you take Universal Express? My credit chip kind of. Dissolved back in Chamber 4. The official report to the Galactic Council was strikingly brief. Project suspended pending review of basic universal constants. Also, Tuesday has been rescheduled for next month. We apologize for any inconvenience. In the facility's break room, Dave sipped something the scientists assured him was almost, but not entirely, unlike coffee. The team stared at him with a mix of fear, awe, and professional regret. So, you're saying Krillvax began, his protective coating just starting to regenerate. Your species regularly survives conditions we consider impossible. Pretty much, Dave said with a shrug. You should see Black Friday sales on Earth. Now that's deadly. This? More like a light workout. Dr. Knox, now stable across dimensions, asked, but the antimatter pulses? The temporal displacement? The reality warping? Oh, that part was awesome, Dave grinned. Reminded me of the time I accidentally mixed energy drinks with my morning coffee. Though your light effects were better. Professor Zarin, now held together by emergency supports, sighed. We'll need to completely rethink our approach to defensive technology. Nothing we built can stop a Death Worlder. Dave rubbed his chin thoughtfully. You know, Chamber 3 could be trickier if you added smooth jazz. Throws off our rhythm, and maybe some bureaucratic paperwork in Chamber 5. That stuff's our kryptonite. Security Chief Blitz, his exoskeleton clicking with residual stress, asked, What will you do with the prize money? Probably get my ship's coffee maker fixed, Dave replied. It's been making everything taste like quantum uncertainty lately. Standing, Dave stretched. Speaking of which, anyone want real coffee? I know a great spot in the Andromeda Galaxy. Their espresso only breaks 3 laws of thermodynamics. As Dave left, whistling what he claimed was staying alive, the scientists began quietly updating their resumes. Krill Vax considered a career in black hole containment. Dr. Knox applied to study something more predictable, like chaos theory. A week later, they received a package from Earth. Inside was a mug that read, "I survived the galaxy's deadliest containment system, and all I got was this lousy temporal displacement." The mug existed in 3 timelines simultaneously, and the coffee inside never got cold.